Dog Eared. I stretched awkwardly as I leaned over and picked up the rustling paper package from the back seat of the car. The cheap black plastic of the Ford Cortina had dutifully soaked the back of my shirt with perspiration. Bright sunlight and a hot body must have been furthermost from the minds of the so-called designers. Many a time over the last few days, the heat inside had well and truly baked my brain as I drove around the dusty streets of Northenden. I sat straight in the seat again, lazily grabbing the door handle and slowly pouring myself onto the pavement. The back of my shirt followed moments later. Armed with the glossy prints of the two beautifully tanned and smiling children, I walked up the broken tarmac path and knocked on the front door. I grinned to myself during a quick, tuneful burst of rockin' robin. It wasn't the row that I was making that tickled me. It was my recollection of the early afternoon news. Some well-informed soul down south had declared this week, wait for it, National Whistling Week. Have you ever heard of Oudtsdaft Millad? A noise inside the house had me spinning on my heels, and I turned to face the door again. I watched through the lightly patterned frosted glass as the lady of the house skipped down the stairs towards me. She was loosely wrapped in brilliant white bath towel. The door opened slowly and cautiously. I couldn't help myself as I watched her amply proportioned body press firmly against the inside surface of the glass. I was beginning to wonder whether it was frosted or whether it was just my heightened temperature giving it that appearance. "Oh, great, it's you," she said, smiling. The excitement in her voice was a good clue that the sale was already made, and before she'd even seen the photographs too. "Come in and take a seat," she said, smiling. "I'm just bathing the two little monsters now. Go in the lounge and make yourself comfortable. I won't be a minute." With this, she took flight in the direction of the bathroom, putting my willpower to the ultimate test. "Just concentrate on where you're going," I said to myself. It had been a terrifically hot day, and juvenile thoughts racing through my mind would certainly have increased my temperature by a few degrees. I didn't need that. The empty echoing voices in the bathroom quickly trotted into the room above me. As I walked into the casually decorated Romany-styled lounge, I sat on the couch. Across the far side of the lounge, a friendly face greeted my arrival. The long-eared spaniel peeped at me from around the edge of the doorway. He took one look and bounced his way across the room, tail wagging and tongue flapping wildly like a broken windscreen wiper. He sat at my feet as I stroked him. My other hand busily brushed the clump of white and brown dog hairs off my creased black trousers. He turned turtle, rolling and twisting on the carpet by my feet. Such a friendly soul, I thought to myself as he growled with contentment. I patted his stomach. I was beginning to think just how wonderful life was. It was still relatively early in the evening, It was bright and sunny, and after all, I would be in the pub within half an hour. Another sail in my pocket, and no doubt a pat on the back for a job well done. That was until the dog literally blew it on for me. There he was, rolling contentedly all over the carpet by my feet, when the sound of footsteps on the stairs alerted him to the impending arrival of his owner. He stopped wriggling. His head went to one side, his ears pricked up, and he looked me right in the eyes. Time I wasn't here, he must have thought to himself. And that's when I could have swore he grinned at me. It's never very nice when anyone breaks wind in such a warm, enclosed space, but little doggies certainly take the biscuit, if you'll pardon the pun. Then, as quickly and quietly as he had arrived, he left the room. Within seconds, the excited and eager mother of the two little darlings burst into the room and sat beside me on the couch. As she pulled the photos out of their protective sleeves, the full and unadulterated smell hit her. She looked at me as if she was going to be sick. Her eyes glazed over and her complexion matched that of a, what shall I say? I know, an African tree frog. Her eyes widened too. I didn't know where to look, as much as I wanted to say, "Hey, Mrs., it wasn't me, honest. It was your dog." And as there was no dog anywhere in sight, for some strange reason, I just mumbled something totally incoherent. I didn't want her thinking that I was just trying to blame the poor creature. Now her eyes were watering. I felt the choking smell clamber all over me. I looked at her and she at me, and we both said nothing. Thankfully, neither of us were sick. With a flick of a wrist, the photos were back in the packet. Her other hand ushered me towards the front door, and within seconds I heard the door slam shut behind me. I looked back as the screaming figure ran down the hall towards the back of the house and promise of fresh air. I left feeling ashamed and embarrassed, and I was innocent. I walked the streets in fear of meeting up with the lady again. I was always ready for a quick getaway if ever the situation should arise. Thankfully, it hasn't yet, but I have made myself a promise. If I ever meet her dog again, I'll